Bye.
G'day, it's Slate, and you've landed back with us at the 3CIR podcast. If you're new, welcome in. If you're returning, grab a brew and settle in. We're an Aussie outfit built by Veterans for Veterans Emergency Services, and anyone who wants to turn hard-won experience into qualifications that actually mean something.
And I'm Jury. We talk growth, grit, and getting on with it. At 3CIR, our compass is 5 words we lived by in uniform and still carry into everything we do. Courage, commitment, camaraderie, integrity, and respect. Not wall art, not buzzwords, just how we operate.
Exactly. We know the jump from service to civvy life can feel like stepping off a moving truck. Our mission is making that landing smoother with recognition of prior learning, RPL, and online quals that match what you've already done in the real world.
Today we're getting into something close to home for a lot of listeners, why qualifications matter in emergency services and how RPL can fast track what you already know into nationally recognised credentials. If you've been out there on the fireground, in the back of an AMBO, on the radio through storms and blackouts, you've built skills most people never see.
And we're not talking about patting you on the back and saying good on you. We're talking about formal, portable, respected qualifications under the Australian Qualifications Framework, the AQF, that say you're legit anywhere in Australia. If you're eyeing promotion, a move interstate, or a pivot into a specialist role, those letters after your name open doors.
Quick shout to those on night shift listening on the drive home. We see you, and before we dive in, we've also lined up some practical steps a bit later. How RPL actually works, what evidence you need, how long it takes, and, this is nice, how 3CIR backs veterans and emergency services with a fair discount and a team who've walked the same beats.
Let's set the stage. Emergency services qualifications aren't random certificates. They're part of a professional recognition framework. Think of it like a common language across fire, police, ambulance, SES, and disaster management.
If you've ever rolled up to a multi-agency job and half the team speaks incident command system and the other half speaks shrug emoji, you know how messy that can get. Formal quals create a shared map.
Well put. Under the AQF and with ASCA, the Australian Skills Quality Authority, keeping the standards tight, registered training organisations like 3CIR deliver qualifications that assess real competencies. Not just what you can say, but what you can do on the worst day of the year.
That standardisation isn't bureaucracy for the sake of it. It's how we make sure a leading firefighter in WA can slide into a crew in Queensland and still be on the same page. Mobility, progression, public trust. The framework is what makes it all portable.
Now, I can hear someone thinking, I've been to more incidents than I can count. Why do I need a piece of paper to prove it? Because when the pager goes off and you're responsible for people's lives, the community needs to know you're assessed against national benchmarks. Qualifications are a signal, pressure tested, decision ready, professional.
And there's another reason. Culture. Qualifications set a standard of excellence that nudges everyone toward continuous improvement. When the expectation is that we keep learning, we catch up on new doctrine, better decon protocols, lessons learned from last season's fires, you know what I mean?
Right. And this is where recognition of prior learning shows its value. RPL says, if you've already learned it on the job, in the field, in the service, you don't need to sit in a classroom for 6 months pretending you haven't. You show evidence, you get assessed, you get recognised.
I had a mate, SES controller, brilliant in floods and storm response. He relocated interstate and thought he'd have to start from scratch. RPL fast-tracked him into the equivalent qualification in weeks, not years. He kept the seniority, the pay bump, and he didn't spend a summer out of the game.
That's the portability we're talking about. Your quals travel with you. Whether you're going for a promotion, shifting departments, or crossing the border, those competencies don't evaporate at the checkpoints.
Let's demystify RPL. It's an assessment method that maps what you've already done against the outcomes of a formal qualification. How do you prove it? Evidence. We're talking job descriptions, incident reports, supervisor testimonies, training records, photos or videos of you leading a rescue, even logs of exercises you've planned and debriefed.
Add in things like risk assessments you've authored, rosters you built during a surge operation, asset management plans you maintained, and third-party reports from managers or community partners. It's not about padding a folder. It's about matching your evidence to each competency unit.
And here's the thing. 3CIR helps you do that mapping. We don't throw a 100-page checklist at you and say good luck. We sit down figuratively or literally and do a skills audit. What have you done? What can you show? Where are the gaps? If there's a gap, we plug it with targeted learning, not 10 modules you don't need.
People always ask about time frame. RPL usually takes 4 to 8 weeks, depending on the qualification and how tidy your evidence is. Compared to traditional training, 6 months to 2 years, that's a tactical sprint.
And yes, volunteers count. SES, CFA, volunteer AMBOS. If you've been consistently applying skills and building responsibility over time, that experience is gold for RPL. Just remember the keyword, consistent. Turning up for the sausage sizzle doesn't equal incident command.
You beat me to it. Now, what does all this do for emergency response itself? More than you might think. When qualifications verify that people meet national standards, communities trust the uniform. That trust matters when you tell them to evacuate, to shelter in place, or to stay off flooded roads.
Internally qualified teams coordinate better, communication tightens, decision-making speeds up, resources get placed where they count. In a burnover scenario or a mass casualty incident, that standardized training and assessed competence can be the difference between close call and catastrophe.
And multi-agency ops runs smoother when everyone's credentials align. If the AMBO crew leader, the police forward commander, and the fire incident controller all hold recognized quals, you've got shared doctrine and mutual confidence baked in.
Let's talk career pathways. For newcomers, you've got certificate through and IV levels in public safety and emergency response to establish core competencies. Then there's diploma and advanced diploma, more strategic leadership-focused territory. That's where you start dealing with incident management, planning cycles, logistics coordination, major incident review, the works.
And specialist streams. Rescue ops, hazardous materials, emergency management, incident command, training and assessment, workplace health and safety. RPL lets seasoned responders step into those credentials based on what they've already proven in the field.
And the cross-pollination is real. Skills from fire services translate into WHS and risk roles. Paramedics move into training and assessment or clinical governance. SES leaders slide into local government emergency management. With national recognition, you can also pivot into consulting, corporate crisis management, or private sector resilience planning.
Don't forget the training.gov.au website if you like going straight to the source. It spells out the nitty-gritty of each qualification and the units involved. And ASCA keeps everyone honest, so your RPL outcome holds the same weight as the classroom route.
Okay, quick reality check. If you're sitting there thinking, I don't have time for this, I'm on shift every other day. We built the RPL pathway at 3CIR for that exact reality. Most of the assessment can be handled outside standard work hours. Short interviews, structured evidence collection, an assessor who knows the sector. It's designed to fit around the job, not break it.
On cost, it varies by level and complexity. But if you're defence or emergency services, current or former, we've got a 25% discount. Veteran-owned RTO, veteran-run podcast, veteran-friendly pricing, and honest pricing. You'll know upfront.
Let's do a quick lightning round on FAQs we get every week. Slate, hit me.
What quals are on the table through RPL for emergency services? Public safety, emergency response, incident command, WHS, training and assessment, business admin, leadership, Certificate 3 through diploma, sometimes advanced diploma, depending on your role and evidence.
Timeline, typically 4 to 8 weeks, with most folks landing around the 6-week mark if evidence is sorted.
Evidence? Employment records, duty statements, incident reports, training certs, supervisor references, photos, logs, planning docs, SOPs you've authored. The more specific, the better.
Volunteers count? Absolutely, if you can demonstrate consistent application and responsibility.
Nationally recognised? Yes. AQF backed, OSCA regulated. Employers nationwide recognise it, and it appears on your official transcript.
Relevant ADF skills, security, logistics, comms, training, leadership, ops planning. Anything from peacekeeping to disaster relief translates beautifully into emergency management.
Cost? Varies. But again, 25% off for current and former defence and emergency services with us at 3CIR.
Full-time friendly? Totally. We'll schedule around operations and shifts.
Roles that need quals? incident controllers, training officers, emergency management coordinators, specialist rescue, plus many supervisory promotions now require formal credentials.
How do you know if you qualify? Free consultation. If you've got 2+ years in the game, odds are you meet requirements for entry-level quals at minimum. We'll give you straight talk about where you stand.
Let's zoom back out to the why. Why should you consider emergency services RPL? Beyond the pay rise and promotion potential, it's professional identity. It says, the craft you've given years to is formally acknowledged. It lifts confidence, not just yours, but your team's and your community's.
And it's time efficient. You're not sitting through modules you could teach blindfolded. You're capturing the work you've already done and getting credit for it. Months, not years. That's the selling point.
Now, how does the actual RPL process roll out at 3CIR? First, a skills audit. We sit with you and map your experience to specific units. Second, evidence gathering. We help you pick the right proof and present it the right way. Third, assessment. One of our assessors, many of us are ex-military or emergency services ourselves, reviews it against the national standards. If there's a shortfall, we give you micro-learning or a targeted task to close the gap.
That last bit is important. We're not gatekeepers trying to keep you out. We're bridge builders. If you need one more piece of evidence on leadership under pressure, maybe we structure a scenario-based interview or pull a debrief you led and map it. Light touch, high relevance.
Also key, your operational tempo. We know surge seasons are brutal. The RPL plan flexes. If you get deployed for a fortnight on flood response, we pause, reset, and pick up where we left off without penalising you.
And here's something I love. Our assessors understand context. When you say you coordinated 3 strike teams and managed an aerial asset during a grass fire with wind shifts, that sentence rings differently to someone who's done it too. We know what good looks like in the field because we've been in the field.
There's another layer to this we don't talk about enough. Mental load. Recognition isn't just a pay band. It's a way of telling your brain and your family this isn't just a hobby, it's a profession and it's respected. That matters after years of call-outs and seeing humans on their worst day.
I remember sitting with a volunteer after a rough season. He said all he wanted was for his kids to see that the time away meant something. When he got his nationally recognised qualification through RPL, he put that certificate on the fridge like it was a Super Bowl ring. Pride's not a bad motivator.
Let's thread in some specialist pathways because people ask for roadmaps. Say you're an operational firefighter with 5 years on the trucks, you've stepped up as acting crew leader, run a few campaign fires, and you're mentoring recruits. RPL could align you to Certa V in public safety with units in incident leadership and operations, and even into a diploma pathway for longer-term leadership roles.
If you're in ambulance with significant on-road time and you've led clinical scenarios, participated in major incident management, and done community education, RPL may recognise your leadership, WHS, and training competencies. That opens doors to clinical education, operations management, or emergency management coordination.
CS controllers and flood ops leaders, your planning cycles, risk assessments, logistics wrangling, and multi-agency briefings map strongly to emergency management and leadership quals. Many parlay that into local government emergency roles, recovery coordination, or consultancy.
And for ADF folks listening, your logistics and ops planning experience stacks beautifully into emergency management qualifications. Everything from staging areas to comms plans to resource prioritization, it's already there. RPL just translates it into civilian speak for HR to understand.
Speaking of translation, if you want to self-serve some research, flick over to training.gov.au and punch in the qualification codes. You'll see the units, requirements, and pathways, and hit AskQA if you're a policy nerd who likes to see how quality is managed across RTOs.
If you're more visual, 3CIR's got a bunch of quick hit videos that cover leadership, HR, WHS, security, business, marketing, government quals, and project management. No fluff, just the gist and where it might take you. Perfect for a lunch break scrolls.
Now, I promised we'd paint the picture on interagency cooperation with qualifications. Picture a summer day gone wrong. Multiple strike teams deployed, police setting cordons, ambulances triaging, aerial support overhead, and state emergency teams handling road closures and community alerts. With standardized, nationally recognized quals, your incident management language is the same. You can basically complete each other's sentences in the IMT
Without it, you spend the first precious minutes translating roles and expectations. With it, you move. One plan, clear comms, and better outcomes. That's the whole game in emergency response. Clarity under pressure.
Let's open the loop we teased earlier: career mobility. Qualifications make moving across states or sectors realistic. A diploma of leadership and management or a diploma in public safety can be a stepping stone into government roles, corporate security, or risk management gigs. And because it's AQF recognized, HR teams know exactly what they're looking at.
And let's not bypass the human part. Formal recognition often boosts job satisfaction and peer respect, not because you weren't respected before, but because now there's no gap between what you can do and what your record says you can do. That alignment is powerful.
All right, nuts and bolts call to action. If you're even mildly curious, do the free RPL consultation with us at 3CIR. We'll ask you about your service history, roles you've held, key incidents, training completed, and responsibilities you've shouldered. We'll map that to likely quals and give you a clear sense of what's achievable and how quickly.
From there, we'll lay out an evidence plan. If you don't have a document, we help you source it or craft a solid third-party report. If you're light in one competency, we add a targeted assessment or short learning to fill the gap. You're not flying solo, it's a team effort.
And to repeat the big ticket items, 4 to 8 weeks is a typical timeline. It's designed to fit around full-time work. Volunteers absolutely get recognized, and 3CIR offers a 25% discount for current and former defense and emergency services. That's us putting our money where our mouth is.
Quick story time before we wrap. One of our recent RPL grads was a volunteer firefighter who'd been an unofficial training guru at their brigade. Wrote lesson plans, ran drills, mentored newbies. They'd never thought of themselves as a trainer because they didn't have the TAE letters. Through RPL, we captured that experience, filled a small gap with a micro assessment, and they came out with a recognized training qualification. A month later, they were part-time instructing at a regional training center, pay rise, purpose, and they're shaping the next generation.
That's the multiplier effect. Recognize one person's expertise and you lift the whole system. More confident trainers, better prepared crews, safer communities.
Before we close, what about those worrying they've been out for a bit? Maybe you left the service 2 years ago or you've taken a break from active response. Do you still qualify?
Short answer: often yes. If your evidence is recent and relevant and you can show ongoing competency, maybe through related work, volunteering, or refresher training, you're in the game. We'll help you make the case, and if there's a stale unit, we'll refresh it quickly.
And to the person thinking, I hate paperwork, same. But when the paperwork tells the story of what you've already done, your judgment calls in bad weather, your leadership at 3 a.m., your planning that saved a community centre from flooding, it stops being busy work. It becomes your service log in civilian terms.
Let's leave you with a simple framework to self-check your readiness. 1. Can you describe the roles you've held and your scope of responsibility? 2. Do you have documents that prove outcomes? Reports, rosters, plans, photos, references? 3. Can you explain how you make decisions under pressure? If you're nodding, RPL is calling your name.
If you're half nodding, still reach out. We'll give you an honest read in that free consult. No obligation, no spin.
Final thought on why qualifications matter for emergency services. They uplift the entire system. They're not about turning everyone into a bureaucrat. They're about making sure the person picking up the radio or leading the strike team has been assessed to a national standard that shapes better training, smarter deployment, and clearer command.
And they're about pride and portability. Your skills should count wherever you go. With RPL and the AQF framework, they do.
All right, that's the run for today. Head to 3CIR to start your RPL assessment, check your eligibility, and explore those quick video resources on leadership, HR, WHS, security, business, marketing, government quals, and project management. And if you like getting hands-on with the details, training.gov.au is your next click.
Next episode, we're cranking it up a notch. From frontline to incident controller, how to build your leadership CV with RPL, sharpen your ICS game, and make yourself promotion ready without disappearing into a classroom for a year. We'll share real pathways, common pitfalls, and how to tell your leadership story so it lands.
Bring a notepad, bring your ambition, and bring that same courage, commitment, camaraderie, integrity, and respect. It's who we are. It's what gets you there.
Catch you soon, crew. Stay safe, stay sharp, and if that pager chirps while you're listening, hit pause and go be the legend you already are.